Hey everybody, Dr. Ann. Thank you for joining me for this tap on Did I Miss Something? So, start by finding the tender points underneath our collarbones, taking a nice deep breath. Exhaling with some sound. This fear. So a reminder to repeat after me, and then if I say some words that don't resonate for you, change them to something more personal. Oh, this fear. This fear that I missed something. Let's tap on the chest. I'm choosing to acknowledge that I have doubts about the work that I did today. So many sick patients. So many fragile patients. And part of me is afraid that I missed something. Deep breath. Even though, let's go right where the ribs jut out. Even though I checked and I double checked and I did the best that I could, there's still this fear that keeps coming up that I missed something. Deep breath. When I miss things, it can be really bad. It can literally be a question of life or death when I miss things. And the really scary truth is, I miss things all the time. Inside of the wrist. Even though I hate to admit it, even to myself, I miss things all the time. Nurses will call me. They'll say, hey, did you see that potassium that was really low? Oh, thank you. It's so bad that I missed it. What would have happened if that nurse hadn't called? Deep breath. I acknowledge that most of the time I do notice, and even if I didn't notice something in the beginning, there's something in the back of my mind that says, I'll go back and check. And so, most of the time I feel, or I want to believe that I do catch these things. But to be completely 100% honest with myself, I miss things. Deep breath. When I cover for other doctors, when I pick up a patient from someone, I notice things all the time that were missed. And it's hard for me to acknowledge and admit that I do the same thing. Deep breath. So this outside of the ring finger. I acknowledge how scary it is for me to admit that I miss things when it comes to my patients. I don't want to believe that it's true. I have a system. I check, I double check. And even after all of that, I still miss things. Deep breath. I'm choosing to acknowledge that it's human of me to miss things. And that's why we have certain systems in place. That's why nurses double check things. That's why the pharmacist will call if they have a question. So even though I sometimes miss things and I'm not perfect, top of the head, I acknowledge that I do have some safety nets in place. But what about the times when my safety net misses things too? I'm open to the possibility that I'm still a good person, even if I miss something and all of my checks and balances and safety checks and safety nets fail too. Because after all, I am human. And even though there's a big part of me that really tries to be perfect, it's impossible. So I'm choosing to focus on doing the best that I can. I'm allowing myself to focus and use my systems and check things off. And I'm allowing myself to admit that I'm not perfect so that I can check in with the people around me that are there to help me, that that want the same things I do, that want my patient to be taken care of. So I'm choosing to acknowledge that I need those phone calls from the nurses. I need those phone calls from the pharmacist. I need my patients and their families to question me. So even though sometimes it's uncomfortable and I feel embarrassed or ashamed, I'm choosing to allow myself to take those opportunities to really notice where I tend to overlook things. Because as I become more aware of those areas, then I can focus on them and put new routines and procedures in place so that the likelihood of me missing that again in the future is lower. So deep breath. I'm allowing myself to really look at and acknowledge the places that I tend to overlook, the things that I tend to overlook. And I give myself permission to release any and all shame around this. Because as I give myself permission to look at this, I also create the situation and the environment that's needed in order to make changes so that I don't keep making the same mistakes. I'm allowing myself to trust myself and trust that as things are brought to my attention, that I'll really register, that when people tell me, hey, you missed this, I will really let that sink in and be more aware. So if it's not looking at the medication list every single day, which I know that that's one of my areas that I don't do it every single day. I think if I've had a patient for a while, I know what they're on, and I don't look to see if someone added something at night. I don't always look, and I'm allowing myself to notice that this is an area where I can really improve. So I'm making a commitment to myself to look at these areas that I know that I already have a deficiency in. And I am making a commitment to take some action every morning to make sure, making a checkbox. I check the meds. And just putting this very simple system into place so that I'm accountable to myself. Deep breath. I'm choosing to become more accountable to myself. And as I do that, I become more accountable to the people around me, to my patients. I become just a better doctor overall. I become more efficient. I don't have to waste energy, worrying about things in the back of my mind. Did I do it? Yeah, I'm choosing to really pay attention to the areas where I know that I'm weak. And I'm choosing to put just a little bit of extra time and effort into improving that every single day. Deep breath. Choosing to do this for myself, choosing to do this for my team members, choosing to do this for my patient. It's a win-win-win. So, grateful to myself for having the courage to admit the areas where I am consciously imperfect, and inviting myself to become more and more aware of the areas where I'm imperfect and I am completely oblivious. Inviting myself to really look at these blind spots, to really let things register when someone points out, hey, I need this. So, that's a really gentle and kind way of saying, hey, I did it wrong. I missed it. And that's okay, as long as I take responsibility for it. And I'm choosing to do that now. All right. So tapping all over myself. Yeah. I'm choosing to look at my weaknesses. I'm choosing to acknowledge my weaknesses. And I'm choosing to take little steps every single day to get stronger in those areas. Yeah. Grateful to myself for committing to this and following through. Thank you.